Hey everybody, good to see you today. Stuart Matola, and I help men get love, sex, and a kick-ass relationship. And today I'm going to talk to the guys, and this will be of interest to the women today. But guys, how you can turn her complaints into opportunities. And this is something I see consistently with men today is, she tells me I don't listen, or I don't do this, or I'm never that. And I hear it consistently from clients. And I'm going to reference one client today in particular who just had a whole inventory of these building up. And before he knew it, he felt completely disconnected from his wife. And it was as if they were in a ghost marriage, which is, if you have any sense of that, two people living together but on opposite sides of the planet. So one quick point here. I'm going to use this expression a few times. It came from Marshall Rosenberg in Nonviolent Communication. He says, judgment, and today I'm talking about complaints. Judgment is an expression of unmet needs. So guys, if we know this one line here, we know that under those complaints are unmet needs, okay? So I was working with this guy, Bill. He's married. He's got two kids, ages 7 and 12, and he's been married for 15 years. And he was the guy where he would hear things like, you're on your phone too much from his wife, or, you never listen to me. That seemed to be the big one. You never listen to me. And I hear a lot of guys hearing that as feedback from their partners. You never listen to me. You never listen to me. You're always on your phone. Or, you come home from work tired and you don't listen to me. And so these guys are just feeling reactive. Who wants to be in a relationship with someone who's constantly telling them what they're not and they're not good enough? So I worked with Bill, who'd been married for 15 years, on how to turn that complaint into an opportunity to connect, an opportunity to build trust, intimacy, love, and more sex. And let's face it, for women sometimes think that for guys it's just about sex. Well, it ain't. I'm going to tell you that. It's about intimacy. It's about closeness. It's about connection. So Bill, and I'm going to give you a three-step process here. FOC, to feel the impact, to own the truth, and to connect. And I'm going to run through those steps real quick, guys. This is going to be really straightforward, and you're going to have a real clear sense of what the payoff is of going through this process. So first, Bill hears, you never listen to me. Okay, so first thing, feel the impact. So Bill feels the impact of that within himself, and he's like, angry, he's pissed off. He's like, that's bullshit. I listened to you. And then he's noticing that. And he's not actually going off and he's not projecting this out to her. He's actually just, being strong within himself and feeling it. He's feeling anger, and then he realizes he's feeling sadness. So this is all in the course of 2 or 3 seconds, and we practice this together in our work as I coach him. The second one is own it. He owns the truth of it, and he assesses it, and he says to himself, is it true that I never listened? No, not never. Okay, and we learn real quick that words like never and always usually mean some kind of overstatement, an emotional overstatement or verbal overstatement based in emotion. So he says, it is true I could listen to her better. So in this case, he was actually with her at the breakfast table in the morning. She was telling him about a situation. She was a school teacher having problems with her principal. And what do you know? He was on his phone, not really listening. And so in that moment, he got to own the truth of that. He's like, do I never listen to her? No. But could I listen more? Yes. Do I check out? Yes. Because she complains and I don't want to hear it. So suddenly he's owning the truth that he's not listening to her. So, and then in this step 2, he gets to separate the feeling he's having of he's angry, he's pissed off, and he gets to see her need at the same time because he's being relational. And this is part of the samurai trick that I teach guys, how to be relational, not just be stuck in your own reality, okay, when she complains about something. So he separates his feeling from her need, because what's underneath the need of you never listen to me? Well, the need to be listened. That's pretty straightforward, right? Third, the ability to connect. And here's where just a simple he's felt his emotions. He knows what's going on with her. He knows there's a need for her to be listened to. He puts his phone down. First, bam, major points for the dude. He's not staring at his phone. He says, hey, I hear you when you say I never listen to you. And just the ability to say that for a dude is just like huge. It's like, I'm not saying I agree with you that I never listen to you, but I hear you telling me that I never listen to you. Suddenly her nervous system drops. She's like, oh wow, he's listening to me. You're getting more trust. You're not feeling like you're being attacked as the dude. And then you get to convey the impact. I hear you say, I never listen to you. And I also hear, and I want you to know that makes me really sad and it makes me angry. And the dude doesn't have to go into arguing now about whether it's true or not. And I want to do a better job of listening to you. Okay. So there's connection right there. Now we're in the opportunity from the complaint now into the opportunity to connect. And then he goes into this space of the reframe. I want to listen to you. I hear you are telling me something about your principal and a situation you had with him. And this is where the dude gets to ask her, like, for the payoff. And it's not so much like, sweetie, what are you wanting from me? But in a conversation, guys are much more connected to a conversation when they know what the payoff is. So at work, there's a situation, they're trying to figure stuff out. The payoff is the solution, okay? If there's a story or a joke somebody's telling them, the payoff is the punchline, okay? So part of the challenges he's had with his partner is sometimes he's felt like he doesn't know what the payoff is. So I'm going to tell you guys what the payoff is simply this: building trust. Building trust. And that means sometimes you're not fixing and you're just listening. But you can go to her and ask her for guidance so that you can connect more to the listening and say, I hear you telling me about the principal and the teacher. Are you wanting my advice on a situation? Are you wanting me to just hear what you did in that situation? And now he gets a framework in which he can connect and listen instead of feeling like a lot of guys do, oh, she's going to talk for 10, 12, 15 minutes. Well, part of the reason she does that, guys, is because you're not listening, okay? So you get a chance to get a sense of what she wants. She says, no, I just need to listen. So, okay, great. I know the payoff is now to build trust. And as she talks, I'm going to listen. I'm not going to try to fix in that moment because she didn't want advice. She didn't want to be fixed. But I'm aware that as I listen, we are building trust. So she talks about the situation with the principal, etc., etc. And dude's like, wow, that wasn't so hard. Now, to go back to that original statement I said of judgments and complaints are an expression of unmet needs. Well, the need to be listened to was met. You had that insight because you had that wisdom from that one sentence, that one truth, and you found an opportunity to now turn that complaint into the opportunity to connect. So that's it, real simple, straight up there. If anyone's got any questions, and just to be clear, this client, Bill, used this technique explicitly time and time again to build trust, to build love and connection in his relationship. And suddenly he went from this walled off dude who was just like living invisibly from his wife to someone who was actually enjoying listening to her and feeling more trust that she was respecting and appreciating who he was. And that's one of the greatest things that I know that guys are looking for, just to be respected and trusted and loved for who they are. And the ability to shift that dynamic within the course of, I want to say, it was within 4 to 6 weeks that we made that happen. And just so much more energy for him. And the greatest thing for guys is when they do the work in their relationship, it gets freed up to go do it at work. And now suddenly the interactions with his wife or partner are energizing him in other areas of his life. And there's more trust and the ability to have more freedom, love, intimacy, connection, and sex. And I think at the end of the day, while many of us settle into that status quo zone in marriage, we can't live there for too long before we find out that it's intolerable. But anyway, that's a quick piece on how to turn complaints into opportunities. And we're about 10 minutes in here. If anybody does have a question, let me know. I did get something from somebody by email prior where a guy said her primary complaint is she tells me that she feels like an afterthought to me, that as if I don't really consider her or take her into consideration, he said. And he felt like he was tending to a child instead of an adult partner. And so we went through this process real quick. He could feel the impact. And in that case, he was feeling, sad, frustrated. And then he would go into owning the truth. Is she an afterthought? Do you consider her as much as you can? He owned it that he didn't. And then we looked at how he could separate her need to be considered versus his feeling of having done something wrong, of being frustrated. And then quickly into the connecting. I hear you're saying you feel like an afterthought with me. I don't want that to be the case, because I want you to know that you're in the front of my mind, baby. And I love you. And from there, it just went into a much deeper connection. So that was another example of where we use this technique. So I'm going to pause here, and we're at about 12 minutes. And I appreciate you tuning in. And I've been doing this every Friday at 9 a.m. And I'm seeing a lot of guys come to me who are either completely walled off from their partners after interactions where there are complaints like I've been speaking of today, or they're like battered, just beat up. So both of those guys I can do a lot of great work with, to turn them into dudes who are not walled off, who are actually tuned in, and who are not beat up, who are stepping into their power and stepping into their powers of assertion. I want to be clear about that, because a big thing I teach is assertion versus aggression, which is a huge thing I find that guys need to learn. So if you're that dude who feels like you're just walled off and checking out from her, and you're just like, I can't deal with her, or that dude who just feels battered by her, etc., and getting beat up, I can help you. It's what I do every day with men, and it's my passion. To learn more about what I do, check out stuartmotola.com, stuartmotola.com. If you're listening to the YouTube rebroadcast, please subscribe to the channel in the lower right. You'll see that red icon. And if you're on Facebook Live and you got value out of this, please share with a friend. Appreciate you tuning in. Have an awesome day, and connect. Ciao.